Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Serious Cinema for Unserious Men. I'm your host, Gabe Bradham, and with me today is a man who is single-handedly leading the campaign to have Brock Bowers elected president. It's Tucker Sennett. Tucker, before we dive into what we're doing for the episode today, which is going to be breaking down the trailer for the new Mission Impossible movie, and then a little Tom Cruise movie draft, we are big college football fans, and it was a really good weekend of college football for us. Your Arizona State Sun Devils are just first off, they made a lot of people some money. Everyone who listened to me about betting on them. My mom came in and flashed the Badgers W, and I don't think Badgers fans should be talking about this weekend in college football. But your two schools, Arizona State, Syracuse, how are we feeling in college football? We're not going to talk
Uh,
about professional football because that's been a rough time.
it's been a good year. I can't say when I started the year working that 8 wins was something I anticipated, but here we are. So that's pretty dope. Um, it's just like they're fun to watch. They're shocking the world on a weekly basis. They're underdogs. It's very fun. And then Syracuse, I actually did expect to have a pretty strong year, almost stronger than what they're doing. Um, Coach, it's okay to shower.
Yep, yep. No, please shower. Actually, we like
Yeah,
really recommend that.
yeah. Uh,
Um,
but yeah, that's kind of where I stand on that. And
yeah,
it's been a good year for sure.
it's been a good year. ASU has given me cardiac arrest several times, and I only cheer for them to support you. So I can't imagine how you're feeling as someone who's like actually invested in them as a team. Like,
Yeah, it's uh it's a lot of stress on a weekly basis, but they continue to amaze. And we've also reached a point where it's just like they every win at this point is like you can't complain if it's a loss because every win is just a bonus on an already pretty incredible year.
yeah, and now the path to a championship rests in their hands. And Tucker, tonight, a path to a draft championship is in your hands. Now, recently I've been pretty dominant in the world of movie drafting. It seems that I have found like one thing I'm good at. And I'll take it. I'll take my wins when I can get them. But tonight, Tucker, the path to the Tom Cruise movie draft crown is in your hands. But before we do that, we received the trailer for the new Mission Impossible movie, possibly the last Mission Impossible movie. I think I've watched it, I don't know, 20 times since it came out 6 days ago. It's incredible. Tucker, describe your reaction to it, what you enjoyed. I received several texts from you in the span of 3 days as we were constantly noticing new things, particularly something involving the rabbit's foot. But just give us your thoughts, your breakdown, what you enjoyed, what makes you nervous, etc., etc.
Nothing makes me nervous because it just looks so good. I really appreciate the callbacks to the franchise's past in this trailer and what seems to be throughout the movie, which I think is really cool. Um, like the rabbit's foot, we might be getting an explanation for it finally, and
Thank
Gabe's
God.
Gabe's gonna be a shell of a human when it somehow when Philip Seymour Hoffman's Force Ghost appears in this movie, Gabe is not gonna know how to react with his body. Um, then we get the knife from the first Mission Impossible movie, which is cool. Um, so that kind of thing kind of definitely has fired me up quite a bit as the Bills take a 9 point lead over the Kansas City Chiefs. Thank God. Um, Also, big fan of just dialogue and music for the trailer. Just because you have an iconic score, like there's no need to overdo it with explosions and effects. But the Mission Impossible music is strong enough on its own to make the trailer pretty excellent. And then when you get Ving Rhames doing pretty significant voiceover work, it's that's a good trailer. That's a recipe
Yeah.
for success, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean that all those things have led to a pretty epic trailer. some things I'm noticing or that I noticed. It seems like he's at the end of the trailer when he says, "Well, you need to trust me one last time." That seems to me like that's going to be him addressing the whole IMF leadership structure in kind of a fate of the universe moment. And my hope, and this is not my original take, but I've seen it on Twitter a couple times, is that's like a coming together assembly of, all these characters that they've developed over the years that have kind of popped in and out of the franchise, whether it's Jeremy Renner, maybe his ex-wife is there, people like that. Ving Rhames, maybe we get a return of Robin Thicke's ex-wife from Ghost Protocol. I'd be game for that. Maggie Q from Mission
Hmm.
Impossible 3 with the British guy. That would be dope. All these things would be good. Maybe Carrie Russell, Force Ghost.
Yeah, she had her eyeball exploded, right?
She had her
In
eyeball exploded
Yeah,
by. Oh,
rough way to go out.
yes, rough way to go out for sure. Lawrence Fishburne is a key part of that as well. Gonna
Yes.
gonna need Fishburne to pull up.
So we are having Angela Bassett, who was the director of the CIA in Mission Impossible Fallout. She is now the president of the United States. We don't know how much time has passed. Tucker, what are the odds that Ethan Hunt impersonates the president of the United States and we get Angela Bassett playing Tom Cruise playing Angela Bassett?
I'm gonna say low
Mm.
on
But would
that
that
one.
not be incredible? Would
It would
that
be
not be
incredible.
genius?
My guess is he plays Kittredge at some point in
Okay,
this one. I
I
think
could
that
see that.
I think that one's relatively reasonable. Um, I think also, what was I going to say? There was one other thing that I think will for sure be in the movie that is on the tip of my tongue, and now I've lost my train of thought.
Well, there is a shot of the group, of everyone who's not Ethan walking together, but there is kind of a almost like a Marvel trailer when there's a conspicuous gap in how people are standing, and you get that thought of like maybe someone is digitally painted out of this. Tucker, I'm not sure that Ilsa is dead. I
Oh, I
there's
think she,
somebody there in the middle of that group. So then who would it be?
I
Do you
think
think
she's
that's
dead.
Renner then?
I think it could be Renner. I think she's dead for sure. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, there's a couple shots where it's like you just know exactly what point of the movie it's going to be.
Hmm.
It's like there's a shot of him walking with what appears to be this might be what you're talking about, but what appears to be kind of the new team
Yes, yes.
as Tarzan. I forget what I just
Yep.
referred to as Tarzan, but um Palm Clementif, Simon Pegg, Tom, and is there somebody else there?
I don't think Shea Wiggum is there.
No.
So not sure.
And Luther's not there.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah, but it's like that shot I just know that's like a after a cut from like a team meeting, they've arrived somewhere and all after that shot, you just know you're gonna get a sweeping landscape of some new
mhm.
exotic location that they shouldn't be in.
There's
And
gonna be some team meeting and someone going, Ethan, that mission, it's impossible. Then the
uh,
music starts and we're all just like, yeah, absolutely take all my money. Couple interesting set pieces being developed in that trailer. The one that made me gasp the first is we get a bunch of nuclear warheads stacked precariously. And it's like, oh yeah, Ethan's gonna have to get out or get into or get out of a submarine without detonating a warhead. That's gonna
yeah.
be incredible. But the set piece that is the crux of this trailer seems to be Ethan Hunt running after a biplane, holding on to the back of a biplane as it flies into the air, climbing onto a biplane, and jumping from one flying biplane to another parallel one. And then the parallel biplane that he's jumped onto doing a barrel roll. And if that's what they're showing us in the trailer, what else is going to be in this movie? I am
So
incredibly excited for the final reckoning.
yeah, so this got me going on like, okay, they tend to do one stunt in the trailer and then something that's not in the trailer that ends up being kind of an incredible stunt to go along with it. So
Hmm.
Reckoning, it was
We
the
saw the ramp jump, but we
saw
didn't
the
see
ramp
anything with the
jump.
train.
We didn't see the train, and we didn't see the handcuff car chase.
Yes, we did not see that.
So that's kind of the mystery stunt from that one. Then Fallout, we saw a little bit of the helicopter. We didn't see the driving the motorcycle backwards on the Champs-Élysées.
Hmm.
Rogue Nation, we saw hanging off the airplane and a
It was the
little bit.
driving without the helmet that we really didn't get much of in
We
the.
didn't get much. Oh, there was a little bit, but we didn't get much of it. And they kind of build that one. They build that one as the the swimming stunt
Yeah,
was was the big thing. And then Ghost Protocol obviously was the Burj Khalifa, and
yeah, which was just
that
incredible.
kind of was its own thing.
Yeah,
That
that was they didn't even market that movie. They were just like, yeah, we put Tom Cruise on the outside of a building and we made him climb up it, and everyone was like, yeah,
yeah
take my money.
yeah.
Tucker, the subtitle for this movie is The Final Reckoning. Two questions. One, is Ethan Hunt going to die in this movie? And we can say die in quotes. Is he permanently going to retire and be with the love of his life, whatever it may be? And if so, do you think the rumors are true? Is he being replaced by Glenn Powell as the next leader of the IMF?
So I do think I think what's going to happen is there's going to be some sort of passing of the torch. I don't think it'll happen in this movie, but I don't think he's going to die. I think important people are going to die in this movie, and that's going to kind of be the catalyst for this whole adventure, which it's going to stink when Luther dies, but
That's going
um,
to hurt.
yeah, it's gonna hurt bad.
Is it going to be Benji or Luther who's going to die? That's the question.
I think it's going to be Luther,
It
although
might be Benji.
it might be Benji because
Benji dying would maybe crush me. I may
yes.
leave the theater crying if that
But
happens.
I just look, so if you're this is the question with that though. If you're gonna have the franchise continue, who's because you gotta have that one supporting character that goes with whatever the new group is
Mhm.
or whoever the new Ethan is. So who would you rather have or who do you think is more capable of, keeping the prestige of the franchise alive?
Respectfully, I think it's
Ving
Simon
Rhames?
Pegg. I think
That's
Simon
what
Pegg's is who
that's
you
what I think
want
too.
more.
Yes. And I think just in as the franchise has gone on, he's become more integral at times than Luther. As much as I love Luther, I think Luther is kind of key to the whole thing as well.
Mhm.
It's basically an impossible choice for
Yes,
the
which
for,
you're offered the impossible choice. The reason I agree with you that it might also be Ving Rhames is he said no to doing the live action Lilo and Stitch because he said that was too much work and he's too old for it. So if
yeah.
a live action Disney remake is going to be too much work for you, then maybe Mission Impossible is also a little bit too much of a workload. Either way, I'm excited. I think Glenn Powell is the perfect
I
replacement for Tom Cruise. I think
I
that's
don't think
genius.
I don't think it's gonna be Glenn Powell.
It almost feels too good to be true.
It's too
It'd
good
be
to be
like if
true.
you told me that, like, in Heat 2, John Bernthal is playing the Robert De Niro part. I wouldn't believe it till I saw it. Like, that just feels, that makes me too happy. I can't believe that a good thing like that would occur.
Yeah. Do you want to hear a bad tweet that I just saw?
Give me a bad tweet. Are people tweeting stupid stuff?
This is kind of the curse I have of going to sports journalism school and
Okay.
having, sports journalism people, many of them are not movie people like us.
Yes, that is true.
Somebody tweeted, finally got around to watching the Robert Pattinson Batman movie last night, period.
Okay.
New paragraph. Can someone explain to me how flooding a whole city, including neighborhoods in poverty, sticks it to the rich? Question mark.
It's almost like the Riddler is a psychopath and a villain. Hmm. I ask you. Um Either way, whatever ends up happening, you and I are gonna get down on the last reckoning. That's gonna be May 23rd, 2025, which like doesn't feel like a real day, but next year is really shaping up to be an incredible year for movies. Tucker, let's talk about Tom Cruise. and our perception of Tom Cruise is really interesting because when you and I were kids, in 2005, there's the whole big Ellen's couch incident where Tom Cruise is really excited promoting Mission Impossible 3. What is he promoting when that's happening? And he's really, really excited and starts jumping on Ellen's couch, and everyone's like, Tom Cruise has always seemed a little weird. Now he seems like a really strange individual. And it leads to this weird period where Tom Cruise isn't really working. He does Mission Impossible 3. And then the next thing we get after that is a 3-year break where he does Tropic Thunder. And it's incredible. I love it very much, where he plays Les Grossman. Um, but he's really satirizing himself, and it's just a really strange time for the guy. Um, but Tom Cruise is, I think, one of the last true movie stars working in Hollywood left. We have a lot of actors like Denzel Washington, right? Is a capital A actor, like a thespian in every sense of the word. Tom Cruise, while he's a great actor, is dedicated to entertaining people. And that is what I love about him. That is why we have elected him president of movies. In fact, there's an argument to be made that Tom Cruise, truthfully, in 2022 with Top Gun Maverick, saved the entire movie industry. Any thoughts you'd want to add? Anything you'd want to share to that?
I agree with the last point, and I've as a member of the the pro Tom Cruise presidency,
The PCP,
super,
yes.
the super PAC. Um, I think what he's done, and obviously, he's not perfect. We got the Scientology stuff
Hmm.
happening in the mid 2000s was weird as well. Some weird marriage stuff. He's not a perfect human being by any means, but for him to remain relevant for as long as his career has been, I mean, because you think about it, you go way back to like the 80s when
Hmm.
he's starting to kind of come into his own. And there's a very real possibility that a movie that he's the face of in 2025 is the biggest movie of that year.
Yeah.
And that's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. So just his longevity, and I agree with you, his commitment to entertaining. There's really nobody like him with the stunt stuff. And I know it gets taught, it's kind of a broken record at this point, but until somebody goes to the same lengths that he does, and maybe it is because he's just an actually crazy person that's willing to go to those lengths, but until somebody proves to me that they're going to do the things that he does, hanging off of fucking helicopters, riding on biplanes, he's the president of movies. It's
Yeah.
just there is nobody that is willing to go the lengths that he goes to make his movies as good as they possibly can be,
Yeah.
at least
I
from an
don't.
acting standpoint. Obviously, there's directors that do crazy shit. Denis Villeneuve is a madman when it
Chris
comes to
Nolan blew up a bomb for
Chris.
Oppenheimer.
Chris Nolan blows more shit up than any human. He probably blows more shit up than the American military industrial complex has in the
Hmm.
last 15
Hmm.
years.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. No, we stay
So,
busy.
so like, yes, there's directors that have done a lot, but for an actor to walk onto a movie set with his guys and say, look, this is how we're going to do this, and for it to work pretty much every time recently. I mean, when was the last time Tom Cruise made a bad movie? The Mummy?
Um. Yeah, it was the Mummy, the Jake Johnson Mummy, which like isn't he had this weird period where he did American Made, The Mummy, Jack Reacher, Never Go Back. But then how does he follow that up? Mission Impossible Fallout.
Yeah.
So the guy doesn't stop.
And
I think what's
American Made is not a bad movie.
it is a movie about dealing coke that makes you feel like you are coming down off of coke. The
Yeah.
editing for it is just the most bizarre shit in the world. I think what's so interesting about Tom Cruise is just how he's kind of ever present in the pop cultural landscape and just the film zeitgeist. If you think of,
This is
you
no, no,
can't
no.
handle the truth. I feel the need for speed. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, just every 10 years or so, whatever is big, you had me at hello from Jerry Maguire. Show me the money. It's always Tom Cruise. He's ever present in these big
You
events.
you could have chosen any individual to represent the passing of the Olympic torch between France and America this
Hmm.
summer Olympics. Do you know who the United States chose?
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise. That
And
that
yeah,
tells you.
even not for a movie, Tom Cruise was just like, yeah, I'm gonna zip line down an Olympic stadium because I can. And we're all just like, yeah, Tom Cruise, whatever you want to do. I think it's awesome. I'm excited to do this because even Tom Cruise's bad movies, right? We discussed a couple of them. There's still some really fun parts, but he also just doesn't have many bad movies. Tucker, are we thinking we're each going to draft 6 or 8 here? What's the thought process?
Let's go with 8.
Okay, we'll do 8. I will let you flip a coin, and you, I'll call it unless you want to call it. It's up to you.
You call it.
Tails, because tails never fails. I have a 50%
It's
chance of being
tails.
correct here. Okay, so I will choose first. And with my first pick, to me, this feels obvious. I was trying to think of what is the obvious number one, and I don't know if it's like abundantly clear, but for me, it has to be A Few Good Men. Tom Cruise,
Really?
Lieutenant Daniel Kaffee. Yeah, I know that's like against the Spyvember motto. I probably should take Mission Impossible, whatever it may be. But when I think the very best performance of Tom Cruise's career, working with the best of the best, for me, it's A Few Good Men. He gets an entire fantastic character arc. This guy who's standing in his father's shadow, and at the end, gets the so this is what a courtroom looks like. I think that's fantastic. I think it's really hard to not be blown off screen when you're acting with Jack Nicholson. And Tom Cruise holds his own with him. I think the "You Can't Handle the Truth" scene is just spectacular. And for me, the part of that movie that's never discussed is Tom Cruise trying to play someone who is extremely intoxicated. I think that is one of the funniest things in the world. The scene where he's like, and for Lieutenant Kaffee, a court martial. I think it's just the funniest stuff in the world. When he's screaming, "You're a lousy softball player, Jack." It's everything I'm looking for. I am a sucker for a courtroom movie, so that might be biasing my decision a little bit, but just rewatched it recently. And I used to watch the movie and be like, this is a Jack Nicholson movie. Now I watch it and I'm like, man, Tom Cruise is just a movie star, capital M, capital S. A Few
Yeah,
Good Men. I
I
rest my
think that
case.
I think that's a solid pick. It's not where I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go a little bit out of the box here, which is probably gonna lose me the draft because I try to have fun, but Gabe just he just
Yeah,
plays
you
by
know
the
me,
book.
anti-fun police.
Yep. Um, I think this is it. It's the performance that allowed him to show his range the most because it's so different from the rest of his career. And part of it is it's kind of a perfect actor director combination. Michael Mann and Tom Cruise combining forces on Collateral.
Yo, homie, is that my briefcase?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, it's really the only time we've ever seen Tom Cruise play a villain, which is an
Maybe
incredible
Interview with the
concept.
Vampire. Maybe. I don't know if
Kind
that
of,
character is
kind
a
of.
villain. But
Yeah,
Collateral, he's just a straight up bad guy.
he's a bad guy in that movie. And he's still like he's a bad guy that you find yourself rooting for a lot of the movie. You're like, let's just have this guy get his job done. He seems like a nice enough guy. He's gonna let Jamie Foxx go. It's all good. It's all good. It's like he's incredible. He's incredible. Um, he, he he just walks into the room in this movie, and you're like, oh fuck, something incredible is gonna happen. I've said incredible way too many times. Can you just smack me?
Something stupendous, something
Something
engaging.
stupendous. He's intimidating as fuck as a
Mhm.
villain. And
But he's also so charming.
part of that is because it's Tom Cruise. And that's kind of why I think this movie is so impressive because it takes a huge risk by making somebody that everybody loves so much into this embodiment of evil.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's kind of all I have for that.
Michael, yes, I agree. That was a fantastic one. Michael Mann does some really interesting camera stuff in this to make Tom Cruise look tall. And that's another part of the Tom Cruise pop culture thing. We all know him as this really short guy. And whether that be the butt of all the jokes or Tom Cruise himself makes fun of it, right? In Tropic Thunder wearing the lifts. So he's very obviously looking like this super tall buff guy. In Collateral, Michael Mann's like, okay, maybe I'm gonna tilt the camera down a little bit, and oh, we've added a couple extra inches to Mr. Cruz. He's also got the bleached hair in this, and it is the most different movie that he's done, in my opinion. And I think that's a good pick. For me, 1996 is probably the best ever year for Tom Cruise with Mission Impossible and Jerry Maguire. And I know I am yet again going against the Spyvember grain, but I'm a sucker for a rom-com. I'm a sucker for a sports movie. And Jerry Maguire is the perfect fusion between the sports movie and the romance. So I'm gonna take that. I think this is the funniest Tom Cruise has ever been. And there's an argument maybe it's Tropic Thunder, but he's not really in that movie super long. In Jerry Maguire, he's bouncing off the walls with Cuba Gooding Jr. Everything with Renee Zellweger and Bob Sugar, and I just think it's fantastic. Whether it be Show Me the Money, which is just this whole genius thing. But it's also really sweet and earnest, and I think that's part of every Cameron Crowe movie. Cameron Crowe really likes earnest, well-meaning, good-intentioned people in his movies, whether it be Almost Famous or Elizabethtown. And I really, really like that. And some people think that's like kind of kitschy. I enjoy it. I think good people are fun. It's fun in this movie that at the end of the game, the big game, Jerry Maguire gets together with the love of his life and they kiss, and I think that's sweet. I enjoy that in my movie. You had me at hello. Show me the money. Show me the draft win by taking Jerry Maguire. This is also just one of those movies that like everyone just needs to watch at some point in their life. Like it's one of those like you have to see um Jerry Maguire. One thing this movie, Cuba Gooding Jr. does not make he gets the $11 million at the end of this movie. Nope, he's washed. He isn't getting that money in the real NFL. He ends up bouncing around between like the Cincinnati Bengals for a couple years. Maybe he does a couple stints in the Arena Football League, and then he's done. Jerry, he's probably a good agent, not good enough, a player in his like what early 30s. Yeah, you're not getting $11 million a year. It's just not happening. That's the most unrealistic part. But Jerry Maguire, quite a good movie. Tucker, what are you taking next?
I I feel like it's the quintessential Tom Cruise role, but I don't know. I could pick it twice.
Hmm.
I don't know which one I should pick. I'm gonna take Top Gun Maverick
Okay.
instead of Top Gun because I think Top Gun is I think when you think of Tom Cruise, you think of Top Gun and you think of Mission Impossible.
Hmm.
That's and I think his acting in Maverick is better. Just because I mean part of it is just writing, but because Top Gun's a corny 80s movie or whatever, late 80s, early 90s. Um, so Maverick, he still has that cocky, cool guy swag when he walks into a room. However, there's a level of maturity that doesn't have in the first one that he has now. And I think it just makes the character much more interesting in Maverick because we see him conflicted at times and he brings some emotion to a character that in the first one is pretty like kind of just your classic douchebag. Like not he's awesome, but there's not there's not a lot of depth to the character. It's
Hmm.
like his friend dies, he's sad. Okay, he's in love with this girl that he probably shouldn't be in love with. Okay. Like it's nothing you haven't seen before, but Maverick kind of peels him back like an onion. We see his mentor taken away from him. We see, he's struggling with the kind of this father complex with Rooster. It's just really good stuff. And it's it's a great movie that arguably we already said saved the movies. And it's another example of a nearly 60-year-old man doing some stunts that a nearly 60-year-old man probably shouldn't be doing, which is riding in a jet plane that is going speeds that would probably kill Gabe and I. So,
Yeah, yeah, probably. We would probably die. I think the one of the best things Top Gun Maverick does, as you added, it adds that layer of guilt to Maverick, right? Losing his partner and now being confronted with the morality of Iceman. And in a way, he has to confront his own morality and then the morality of this young man who he's taken under his wings. And I think that is just a step above. We also, as you mentioned, get the coolness of Pete Maverick Mitchell, who is just like, yeah, he could probably single-handedly win a world war if he needed to. But also, he becomes a round character instead of a static character. Look at me using junior year of high school English words. That's fantastic. Those are the things you never lose. I think next for me, I would feel weird if this movie wasn't taken yet. It's gonna be Mission Impossible. I think Ethan Hunt is just one of the
which,
best things you can have. The original,
what
96,
okay,
96. And
I,
the reason I'm
that
taking the 96 Impossible instead of a different one is Mission Impossible 2 is just a bad movie, as we've discussed many times. John Woo, the Doves, no clue what's happening there. Mission Impossible 3, if this was a Philip Seymour Hoffman draft, I'd consider it. I know Tucker loves MI3 and his rabbit foot nonsense. Whatever, live your life. From 4 to, Dead Reckoning and on, they are all incredible, but you are watching those movies for the stunts. And I might take one of them later, but when I'm thinking the best acting that we get of Ethan Hunt, I think it is in Mission Impossible, particularly in the scenes when he's just burnt by the IMF and he wants to get revenge. And you get all the glass breaking as he's having the discussion at the aquarium. I just think it is like classic noir burnt spy paranoia goodness that, like, if you replaced it with Robert Redford, I'd go, oh, I'm watching a sequel to Day of the Jackal, whatever it may be. So I just think Mission Impossible is kind of the best spy acting we get from Tom Cruise, particularly with the mask scenes. But then you also do get some really good physical stuff. Obviously, the lengths that he went to, putting pennies in his shoes to make sure he was like perfectly even, that he wouldn't touch the floor. He did it practically. He's like, no, 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 I'm gonna do this. Just the amount of like core strength you have to hold your body up, just incredible. And you never forget the first time you see Mission Impossible. Your mission, should you choose to accept it. It's just always good stuff. But what would you like to take next?
I'm going with I haven't really taken anything from old school Cruise yet, which I feel a little guilt about, but I might save those for later. And just get what I want now. I'm gonna take Edge of Tomorrow.
Damn it. No.
And I feel like this is a pick that you has put me ahead in this draft, but the people will not recognize as a good pick because this is kind of a niche cruise movie.
It's a big pick for the cruise heads. For
Yes.
everyone else, they're like, "Oh yeah, that's the Groundhog Day Emily Blunt movie." And for
Yeah.
everyone else, we're like, "This is some genius, incredible stuff. You don't understand it."
He's really fucking good. I've seen this movie way too many times. He's really fucking good. He this is like a very different take on the action hero. And it's very rare that we see Tom Cruise playing kind of a reluctant, not talented action hero. And
Mhm.
and in this case, he's not very talented in this
No,
movie. Like he does not want to be on the battlefield. And he's forced into this situation that is just it's impossible. And he he has a level of confusion at the beginning of this movie that I've never really seen out of an actor and have it work so well. And I think part of it is RIP, the legend himself. It's Bill Paxton.
hmm
Bill Paxton's drill sergeant in this movie really helps Tom kind of go even lower into this like depressed confusion. And he he's incredible. Tom is great. It's one of the most unique action movies I've seen. I like there hasn't has there been a movie that's taken kind of a big risk like this where it's like, all right, we're gonna make a wild sci-fi movie with Tom Cruise that has a plot that is essentially the same as Groundhog Day, except we're gonna put him in an exosuit with a machine gun.
Yeah, the only like somewhat accurate comp you can make is Tenet, where it's
Yeah,
just like incredible sci-fi movie, and they're like, yeah, but it's also kind of an action movie.
yeah.
Edge of Tomorrow is incredible. Tom Cruise is playing like 45 different characters in it, 45 different versions of himself. Do we know how long he's in the time loop for? It's like several years, right?
I don't know. I can't remember, but he dies many, many times on
Yeah,
that beach. And it's like it's almost and this sounds fucked up, but it's like satisfying to see him lose over and
yeah.
over again because it's like he's a guy you're used to seeing succeed so many times. And his acting as a loser is really good. Like I
Mhm.
almost wish we would see him lose in Mission Impossible, and we kind of have over the last couple movies. We've definitely seen him tested more, maybe not losing altogether, but definitely tested more than he has in the past. And yeah, I mean, it's it's a really, really unique action flick that I would feel bad if I didn't draft it, and it's probably going to lose me the draft, but
Oh
that's
well,
okay.
I promise you, I would have been taking it. I had my eyes on it. In the beginning of the movie, he is a slimy, evil public relations person, and as someone who got a degree in public relations, I have met many people very similar to it. And he's just looking for any way he can to get out of this war. You know, right at the beginning, he like tries to roll over to escape and gets crushed by a car. So at the end, when he's willing to sacrifice himself for Emily Blunt, and he's like, "You never make it further than this." I will go for you. You stay here. Like you never get further. Just complete 360, and you buy him as the horrible person, but you also buy him as this man who loves this person enough to give his life for them. I think it's a great pick. Just a criminally underrated movie. But now I'm gonna move into the really weird, psychosexual, very confusing 1999 time for Tom Cruise, when he and Nicole Kidman's marriage was definitely on the rocks, and Tom is hanging out with Stanley Kubrick, but I'm trying to decide which of the two of them I want. When I said I was going to take something from 1999, Tucker made a face of anger. So I don't know which of these you want. So I'm kind of playing. Yeah, think I'm going to take Eyes Wide Shut because I think ultimately this is the better performance. I'm saying Fidelio. Um, look, is he the king of all cucks in Eyes Wide Shut? Yes, he is. That is what's happening to that man. And he is losing his mind because of it. And what Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman did was just take the issues that were deteriorating their marriage, and then they're like, "Hey, Stanley, you want to make this into a movie?" And everyone on that set lost their minds and was divorced promptly after. There is a reason, and I don't know what the truth is, but when Nicole Kidman signed her divorce papers, there are paparazzi photos of her literally celebrating as she leaves the divorce proceedings. Probably not a very good marriage. Um, Eyes Wide Shut is one of those movies that the first time you watch it, you just like you feel like you shouldn't be watching it. It's that voyeuristic feeling of like I'm too much into these people's personal life. Like I don't belong here. I shouldn't be seeing what's happening with these people. And you know there is that kind of feeling of ickiness, but you're supposed to feel icky. This movie should make you feel icky, and it does its job well. Obviously incredibly directed by Stanley Kubrick, but you watch this movie for Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, and this kind of highlights one of the big issues around Tom Cruise, which is just that the man still does not have his Academy Award. And all the films we've named, maybe except for Mission Impossible, but like maybe even that he should have at least been nominated for, And it's a complete travesty by the Academy. But I am really excited because this new movie, Judy, directed by Alejandro Inarritu. And all I'm saying is, last time someone who hasn't gotten an Academy Award, who very much deserves one, partnered with Inarritu, that would be Tom Cruise in The Revenant. He finally got that little gold
That
man
would
that
be
he deserves.
Leonardo DiCaprio in The Revenant, not Tom
Oh,
Cruise.
sorry. Yes, DiCaprio in The Revenant. He
Although I would
finally got
watch
that little gold man.
A Tom Cruise version of The
No,
Revenant.
I would not watch Tom Cruise in The Revenant because he would like put on a meat suit and walk in front of a bear and be like, "Eat me, actually eat me." At least DiCaprio did the CGI bear. Tom Cruise would go, "No, no, no, no. I've trained this bear. Okay, you don't understand. He and I are brothers now. I speak bear language. I'm going to let it bite me, and it will know to not kill me." And like we'd probably then lose Tom Cruise. I think Eyes Wide Shut is dirty, pervy, psychosexual, and also incredibly intelligent, and just a fantastic movie. Although it's one of those movies that you really got to make sure someone is the right age before you show it to them. Like this is not one I'm like my brother Zeke. Sometimes I'm like, hey man, let's sit down and watch a movie. The other day I was showing him Collateral. Eyes Wide Shut is one I'm gonna wait on a little bit, just because the whole Fidelio stuff, will wait. But that's number 4 for me. What are you thinking for your number 4?
I'm gonna take probably the sweatiest Tom Cruise has ever been in a
Mm-hmm.
movie.
Mm-hmm.
The Firm.
Yep. Yep. Some real
Um,
good gymnastics in there. He's doing some tumbling in this movie.
some good tumbling, but John Grisham novels, you know, are ripe for adaptation, and The Firm is like kind of the perfect one because you get a little courtroom drama in there. You get a perfectly cast Gene Hackman. You
A
get a
really sweaty Gene Hackman in this movie.
really
He
sweaty.
is like little bit worse than Enemy of the State, which is also a
Yeah.
deeply sweaty performance.
Yeah, he's plus they keep sending him to the Cayman Islands in this one.
That and Crimson Tide, like and
Yeah.
Crimson Tide, Gene and Big Jim Gandolfini, the two of them, they're like not wearing shirts. They are being waterboarded by their polos. It is a rough time for them.
Yeah. Well, Tom is sweaty in this movie, partially because he's running a lot.
A lot of running, as I mentioned, a lot of gymnastics from Tom Cruise.
But he this is another movie where he kind of goes back and forth between, this confident young guy to this guy who's just his marriage is falling apart, and it he at times in an effort to save his marriage feels like he's doing this elaborate scheme to expose the firm, which is turns out to be a whole money laundering gang nonsense. It's
The plot of this movie takes some incredibly wild turns.
Yeah, it takes some wild turns. There's a whole sex thing that's wild.
The
Gene
mafia is
Hackman,
just
the
there.
mafia is there. Gene Hackman wants to bang Tom Cruise's wife, played by Jeanne Tripplehorn. She was a perfect '90s star that we never heard from again after the '90s ended.
Hmm.
Classic. Um, Now Holly Hunter in this movie,
Yeah,
we heard
yeah,
Holly Hunter in general. Call me
yeah.
anyway. Um, Pretty incredible cast. Hackman, Cruz, Triplehorn, Hunter, Ed Harris, David Strathairn, Hal Holbrook, the guy, I think it's Wilfred Brimley, plays the
Yes.
security guy.
Big WB.
It's also really fun. Gary Busey's in this before he
Hmm.
lost his mind, um, which I know Gabe could probably do an impression of, but I'm not gonna.
I've got a Busey deep in my soul, but I think it might actually come off as insensitive. So I'm gonna keep that one in.
Dean Norris
Hmm.
of um, of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul fame.
And cameo fame.
Yes.
Hey, sussy baka. Your friends say, get on the game. Or you're an Ohio Rizzy sick, whatever it is. It's all the
Yes.
stuff that my 10-year-old brother says.
Yes. Yes. Anyway, in this giant cast, the focus of the movie is Cruz, and you never feel like he's overwhelmed by that in this. And he was pretty young for this
Yeah.
movie, and he's really sweaty. Really sweaty.
Deeply, deeply, deeply sweaty in
This
this
is
movie.
this is a high tension film,
Hmm.
and I feel like Tom has kind of made his career on high tension films.
Yes,
So
his name in this movie is Mitch McDear, which is
yes,
just like an incredible name for a movie character.
John Grisham.
It doesn't get much better than Mitch McDear. Like that's up there with Ethan Hunt as just like, yes, that is just a fantastic name for
Can you
that
tell me?
character.
Can you tell me what? Can you tell me what Ed Harris's name in this movie is? Because that's all
Um,
great
I
FBI agent name.
let's see. Okay, hold on. Pulling up the firm. I have it
I
right here.
I know I got it. I just wanted to see if you could guess it.
Oh, this is wow. This is some incredible stuff. FBI agent Wayne Terrence. That's some good stuff.
I
Oliver
didn't.
Lambert. That this is they really put some thought into what we're gonna name these characters, or maybe no thought. There might be a wheel of some kind.
Yep.
Either way, it's quite good.
Gary Busey
Um,
is a slimy private investigator named Eddie Lomax.
cool. Who does he play in the movie? Boom, Buseed. For my fifth pick, I'm taking Magnolia, the other movie from 1999. This is the movie where Tom Cruise was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. This is the same year as Haley Joel Osment for The Sixth Sense. Both of those two incredible performances, and instead we gave it to Michael Caine for The Cider House Rules. Now I like Michael Caine, as all God-fearing Americans should. That's Alfred. Um, that performance is not as good as anything that's happening in Magnolia or The Sixth Sense, or frankly, Michael Clark Duncan in The Green Mile. In Magnolia, Tom Cruise just plays Tucker. Who's that bald alpha male YouTube guy? I remembered
Um,
his name and then I forgot.
Andrew Tate.
Yes, Tom Cruise just plays Andrew Tate. He's a pickup artist who teaches men how to get women, and he does that because he is like in real life deeply insecure and hates himself. Paul Thomas Anderson is just one of the greatest screenwriters of all time. I present to you There Will Be Blood, and so when you pair up Tom Cruise and PTA, you're gonna get something incredible, and this is quite good. It is as Paul Thomas Anderson called it, the greatest San Fernando Valley film of all time. And it is also an adaptation of the biblical book of Exodus. It is somehow both of those, and it sounds like it'd be too much, but it absolutely isn't. In Magnolia, in Tom Cruise, he has like a 10-minute monologue, and then he's not in the movie much after that. But in those 10 minutes, he says the phrase, oh baby, give me some of that sweet cherry pie, which is just maybe one of the greatest lines ever said in a movie, especially the way that Tom Cruise said it. And Magnolia is fantastic, and I'm really hoping after the Battle of Bacton Cross, where PTA is teaming back up with DiCaprio, I'm really hoping we can see another partnership between PTA and Tom Cruise, because that just feels the connection was too good for it to never happen again. Joaquin and PTA ran it back, and if we're not going to get Daniel Day-Lewis and PTA again, I sure would like it if we got Tom Cruise and PTA. I think that'd be quite good. Tucker, what will you be taking next? Now we're getting to
So
the stuff where it's like Cocktail, where he's a competitive bartender, which is a real movie, a real strange movie, but a real movie
yeah,
nonetheless.
I'm gonna take I feel like this is an oversight from you. I'm gonna take Rain Man. Um
I was
I
hoping you wouldn't notice it.
Yeah, no, I did. And
Somehow
I
Dustin Hoffman is. I think Tom Cruise is better than Dustin Hoffman in that movie. Is that crazy?
no. Or
Okay.
no, I disagree that
Yo,
he's
you
that
disagree?
yes.
Hmm. Which of us is Tom Cruise and who's Dustin Hoffman? And just think lightly. What you say here.
Nope. I'm not
No,
participating in that one.
what was great is I don't remember how, but my mom and I got into the topic of Rain Man as we were leaving church. And I think the discussion became could our little siblings watch it? And I was like, I'm not gonna list the reasons they can't as we leave church,
Could
but
your
there's
little siblings watch it? I
yes,
just
could my little
want to
siblings watch it?
clarify that you and your
Yes.
mom don't share siblings, just for
No,
the
if my mom and I shared siblings, I don't want to think that family tree would involve a circle of some kind. And while I do have family from both the hick parts of Wisconsin and also North Carolina, I'm fairly certain we've managed to avoid that.
I just
Like
I'm not,
98%.
I know you have. I wanted to clarify for the audience.
Okay, well, thanks, Tucker. I guess I'm Dustin Hoffman and you're Tom Cruise. Thanks for that. You're a real piece of work.
Oh, I didn't
No,
say
it's fine.
that.
You can bully me. I don't understand why you hate me so much. It
Gabe, let's think of it this way. Would you have a panic attack or some sort of like meltdown if we weren't back in time to watch the day's new episode of Forged in Fire or Bar Rescue?
I would go insane if we missed Fortune Fire. If
Yeah.
I don't know what ancient weapon they're making, and if I don't know like what's going on with the, for example, is Will Willis gonna take away the auto press? Are they gonna have to hand forge it? I'll start screaming, dude. I
Instead of
it
instead of Judge Wapner, Gabe, I'm walking around with Gabe and he's going, are we going to be back in time for Forged in Fire? Will Willis? Will Willis? Judge Judge David Baker? Judge David Baker?
Wow, hey, you really get me on a personal level. I've forgiven your previous comments about the nature of my family and the fact that I may or may not share qualities to Dustin Hoffman in Rain Man. We're talking about Tom Cruise though. What do you like about Tom Cruise in Rain Man?
Tom Cruise, this is another movie where he undergoes a transformation of sorts. He,
Yeah,
oh
he
God,
plays the worst person you've ever met. That's who
plays
he
the worst
plays.
person you've ever met.
And
He
at the
drives,
end of the movie where he's like supposed to be good, you're like, no, you're still a dick. You are still mean.
you're still a dick, but you know, he it's kind of you're watching a guy who's put in an impossible situation and he plays that role pretty pretty goddamn well. I
Mhm.
mean, you can you imagine being put in that situation? I can't. That would be like not nightmarish, but it would change your life in a lot of ways. And you know, we get to see a man who's reacting very irrationally to some bad things. And I think Tom Cruise does a very good job in this movie of portraying that.
Here's my question for you. And
Yeah.
I agree with you. He's not a villain in this movie, and in fact, at the end, he's a better person, but he's still not a good person. And I think that's
Yeah.
actually interesting that they chose to do this with this movie. The plot twist of this movie has always been the thing that has bothered me about it the most. Spoiler alert for 1988's Rain Man. It's the whole, oh, rain. It's not Rain Man. It's how Charlie used to say Raymond, and so you find out that like he lived with them when they were kids and everything like that. Does that bug you at all? For me, that has always been the thing of this movie that I've always just been like, this is I don't know the weird, strange part. But look, the movie won Best Picture, so obviously it didn't bother the Academy Awards. I'm just not crazy about that part. That's the part that always just takes me out of it slightly.
Yeah, I mean, I that the it's definitely Hollywood kind of
It's very Barry Levinson,
yes, yes.
which is
I will say the Vegas scene is
oh, it's incredible.
it's incredible.
Yeah, that would be you. We've played Academy Awards blackjack on this show. I also know that you've got some blackjack skills, some Zach Galifianakis counting ability. This is where we're sort of now reaching the bottom of the barrel, but there's still some good things here. So next for me, I'm just gonna stay true to myself and take the movie that I watch when I'm sick, that I watch when I'm sad, what I watch when I'm angry, what I watch when I'm happy. It's Days of Thunder, where Tom Cruise plays a NASCAR driver, because it's incredible, because racing is fun, and because it just makes me happy. This is where Tom Cruise met Nicole Kidman, so it pairs well with my Eyes Wide Shut pick. But you also got people like Robert Duvall, Randy Quaid, Michael Rooker, John C. Reilly, Carrie Elwes. This is just like a movie for the heart of America. Like if you've ever been to the Midwest, you'll know that Days of Thunder is like deeply important to us. It's just a really fun movie. It also has a soundtrack that is a lot of yacht rock, and so when they start playing "Fly Like the Wind" by Christopher Cross, I get down. My spirit like ascends into my body. Days of Thunder, fantastic movie. Also, really, really good sound design. It's one of those movies that like you should watch with your speakers just turned up all the way. You will enjoy it the most if you do that. And we're apparently getting a Days of Thunder 2, which will it change my life? I think the answer is yes. I think everything will be better if we get a Days of Thunder 2.
I think for you, I would agree.
What is next for you, Tucker? I've got two things left that I will be very happy if I can get. So I'm just hoping you don't take my two and I'll be okay. There's some good Mission Impossibles here, Tucker.
There are some really good Mission
Do you
Impossibles.
feel good about not having a Mission Impossible on your list? Some would say, are you really honoring the Spyvember concept if you don't take a Mission Impossible?
I there's plenty of Mission Impossibles I like left, Gabe.
Mayhaps you should take Jack Reacher or its
Which
sequel film,
one?
Jack Reacher Never Go Back.
Oh, wait, what did I do here? Sorry, I messed up Gabe's spreadsheet somehow.
Oh, well, you're going to hell for that. Touching my spreadsheet is a very easy way to like end up getting flamethrowered to death. I'll
Okay.
fix it while you decide what you're going to take next.
I am going to take Mission Impossible.
Yes. Yes, do it. Take a Mission Impossible.
Rescind.
No, no, no rescinds. You said it.
I'm taking Born on the 4th of July.
Okay, go ahead. That's okay with me. That movie bums me out. It's a very good performance, but it is a bummer of a movie.
It is a major bummer of a movie. I have seen this movie twice ever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's not his best acting, but it's probably up there. I think it's definitely the biggest. I would say it's probably the biggest risk he took in terms of a role because it's it's a definitely a political statement of a movie.
Yeah,
And
the whole
and
Vietnam War. Where did you come down on that? What was your opinion there? Did we win? Good, bad? I don't. What were you
I
thinking?
don't- I think we definitely didn't win.
Mm.
You know,
Are
I
you one
think
of those guys who called the Vietnam conflict so you can say that we've never lost a war?
no, I do not do
Mm.
that. But I think anytime you hitch your wagon to Oliver Stone,
Hmm.
it can be
Richard
risky.
Nixon.
Yes, it can be risky to hitch your wagon to Oliver Stone. I think when he covers Vietnam, he tends to be very successful, and that's the case with this movie. Um, I think it's this movie's definitely viewed controversially by the veteran community for sure. However, I think it brings some things that need to be talked about to the forefront
Mhm.
of discussion. And I think without Tom Cruise, I don't think that happens. Um, he was nominated for Best Actor for this movie, which says a lot. And you know, it's hard to see Tom in pain,
It
and
is.
he's in pain for a lot of this movie. And it seems like he really did work closely with Ron Kovic. Um, but I, you know, it's it's just a tough watch.
It
It's
is.
a tough watch.
The physical performances he went through is
Yes,
kind of a. It's funny because Tom Cruise is definitely a method actor, but we don't really
we don't
hold
view
him
him
to that
as
same
that.
standard or view him like Daniel Day-Lewis, right? He's like, yeah, I'm gonna make you know, in the name of the Father, and I'm going to go box in Ireland for 8 months and break my nose several times. Or Robert De Niro, who's like, yeah, for the Deer Hunter, I'm just gonna live in rural Pennsylvania and we'll make the movie once I feel like I've inhabited the character. Tom Cruise lost a tremendous amount of weight for this movie. There is a scene where he's in the wheelchair and he just like the word to describe it is gaunt. He looks like someone took a vacuum and just like removed all the fat from him. First, I would like that procedure if we could get it figured out. And two, just like Tom, you've got to eat something, bro. And he just makes you feel bad for Ron Kovacs, this veteran who unfortunately had his life ruined by a pretty stupid war. I think that's a great pick. And there's an argument to who ended up winning that year, Tucker, the year that he was nominated for Born on the 4th of July.
I'm looking.
Looking,
Daniel
reporting.
Day-Lewis, My Left Foot.
Okay, well, Daniel Day-Lewis probably should have won because he's Daniel Day-Lewis. That was the movie, speaking of method actors, where Daniel Day-Lewis was like, yeah, I'm going to be in a wheelchair for the entire shooting. But if I have to use the restroom, some PA has to go in with me, take me out of my wheelchair, set me on the toilet. And everyone was like, no, Daniel, we're not doing that. But he made them do it because he's DDL. I've abandoned my boy. I've abandoned my child. Daniel Lewis, love the guy. For my next pick, my second to last pick, I'm taking Tropic Thunder. Listen here, Flaming Dragon. It's just some incredible stuff. He plays Les Grossman. He's got
Or do
the massive hands.
you went with
He's
back-to-back Thunder?
yeah, I'm a thunderous guy, you know. Before the lightning comes thunder. Some have called me White Lightning before. I think Tropic Thunder is incredible. And I wouldn't have taken it unless the end credits of this movie happened. What is the end credits, Tiger? Can you describe them? What the dance we're getting?
It's Tom Cruise appearing as Les Grossman.
Hmm.
They're watching uh, Ben Stiller win an Academy Award for Tropic Thunder, and he throws I think it's Bill Hader with him,
Yes.
throws Bill Hader out and turns on what's I forget what song it is. But he turns on some R&B, and man, does he oh, he puts on Ludacris.
Yes. It's Get Back by Ludacris,
Yes.
which
And
Ludacris personally approved the usage of.
that man moves his hips a lot.
Probably too much, one might say.
Probably too much.
Particularly if you're satirizing Harvey Keitel, not Harvey
Yes,
Keitel, Harvey Weinstein. He's
yes.
this movie is a satire of Harvey Weinstein and how much of a horrible person he is. But it doesn't help that when you know that, you start picturing Harvey Weinstein doing the pelvic thrust to Get Back by Ludacris. Tom Cruise is a genius, and this movie is incredible and just shows how funny he is. Asia is my territory, Jack. You will have to get the UN to sign a binding declaration. I will go scorched earth. It's just some
Listen,
incredible stuff.
listen, Flaming Dragon, fuck face. That's
It's
one of the great,
just some really good stuff.
really good stuff. Really
I
good stuff.
posted it on my Instagram and someone swiped up and they were like, "Oh, who is that?" And I was like, "That's Tom Cruise, just under a mountain of makeup and he's in heels." It's really good. I'm glad to have Tropic Thunder. Tucker, your second to last pick, sir.
Mission Impossible,
Which one? Which one?
Fallout.
Ooh, good pick. Good pick.
A lot of colons in that title.
Mm-hmm. A lot of
Um,
colons in that movie.
Badunts.
Thank you.
Anyway,
After
anyway,
that bathroom fight, I guarantee you someone had a semicolon.
this is kind of for me the pinnacle of Ethan Hunt, and Ethan Hunt doesn't exist without Tom.
Mm-hmm.
The stunts in this one are top notch. His performance, he's on edge. The fake Wolf Blitzer scene is just incredible. He this one has the best race against the clock, I think, in any of the Mission Impossible movies. It's just like you really feel like he might lose in this one, but he doesn't. He always finds a way. He's the best. He's
It was
the
really good. And part of acting is the physicality. And this movie just has, I don't know, maybe the greatest fight scene in any movie ever.
Yep.
and he's going crazy. You get the, as you mentioned, the Wolf Blitzer scene, but everything, when they manage to trap John Lark, just some really good stuff. Fallout is incredible. I don't know if you're planning on taking this, so if you end up taking it, I apologize for like stealing your shadow. But some of the very best acting we get from Tom Cruise in the Mission Impossible series also happens in Dead Reckoning, where he gives the
That was
speech.
gonna be my last pick.
Oh, well, never mind. Zipping my lips, and then you can share it after. My last pick, 2003 is a really good year for historical epics, and you and I love historical epics. Obviously, we get Master and Commander, Far Star of the World, but we also get another one that you and I love, The Last Samurai, directed by Edward Zwick, where Tom Cruise just plays just Captain Nathan Algren, who is an alcoholic, and he is kidnapped by the Japanese in 1876, and he ends up serving as a samurai, and it's incredible. The first half of the movie is very similar to Seven Samurai by Akira Kurosawa, where he's trying to train them for the American forces that are going to come attack them. And there's a scene where he's holding a gun to a farmer, and he's yelling at him in Japanese, and he's saying, "Shoot me, try and aim this gun at me, and if you do not shoot me, I am going to shoot you myself." And it is so intense, and he's so captivating, and you just cannot look away. And obviously, we I won't spoil anything, but the ending of this movie will just break your heart. Everything with Ken Watanabe and how good Ken Watanabe and Tom Cruise play off each other. But this is another one of those movies where the physicality is a huge part of everything that's happening here. And in this movie, Tom Cruise is riding on horses, and while riding on it, he's shooting a bow and arrow in real life, and he worked on his sword fighting, and it's just really romantic, very well made. It's just a fantastic historical epic. And I rewatched it the other day because I was super excited for Gladiator 2. And you just, you somehow sometimes forget how much effort goes into the production of these historical epics, because the best ones transport you, and Gladiator transports you to ancient Rome, and nothing transports me to feudal Japan except for Shogun, but that's a whole different league, like The Last Samurai. Very, very good. Tucker, your last pick, which I almost accidentally spoiled. My apologies.
Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. I do think this is so. It, this is. Did I just? I think this is the best acting he does in this
It,
film.
I personally think the first one is better, but then it's the speech where he's like, "Your life will always matter to me more than my own." That
Yep.
is the promise. That is the crystallization of the entire Ethan Hunt character right there. That is the thesis statement for the character. Your life will always matter more than his. That is Ethan Hunt.
It's the one where you feel like the lengths that he would go for the greater good.
Hmm.
uh, You this is the one where you feel like he'll die.
Yes.
He will die to save the world. Whether it's or he will die to save his team. Like there's no he walks such a tightrope. And I feel like the last movie is gonna raise those stakes even so much more, which is why I think this one is so effective
Hmm.
because it's the first time where you feel like that's a possibility, even though we don't get there in this movie. It, you feel like we're leaning towards it
And
at
this is the one where we get the angriest Ethan Hunt. We
yes,
get him pissed off, obviously, in Rogue Nation when Benji is pulled in and he's, staring into the eyes of Benji, but it's being transmitted to Solomon Lane. But after Ilsa's death, there's just a switch flip, and you go, Ethan Hunt is about to make some people pay for killing the woman he loved. And it's palpable, and the music is done well. As we talk about it, you might be right. Dead Reckoning might actually be the best acting in the series. Something to consider. Um, Something about spies in one of their last movies, because I think No Time to Die may be the best acting Daniel Craig gives in a Bond movie. You can disagree with that, but I think the best. I'm not saying it's the best because I don't think it is, but it may in fact be the most emotional acting. And Dead Reckoning might also be like that. We'll have to see with the Last Reckoning. Tucker, this concludes our draft. Would you please read off and remind the audience what you ended up picking?
Tucker's picks: Collateral, Top Gun Maverick, The Firm, Edge of Tomorrow, Rain Man, Born on the 4th of July, Mission Impossible Fallout, and Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning.
And for my picks, I had A Few Good Men, Jerry Maguire, Mission Impossible, Eyes Wide Shut, Magnolia, Days of Thunder, Tropic Thunder, and The Last Samurai. Tucker, as always, thank you for drafting with me. Audience, you're hearing this on Monday the 18th, on Wednesday, November 20th of 2024. For those of you listening to the future, hello from the past. That you can vote on our Instagram story who you think won. That Instagram is at Scum Podcast Official. You can also check us out on Letterboxd at Scum Pod. That's capital SCUM, capital P, lowercase OD. Yes, Tucker.
Streaming Rats.
Yes, yes. Let me really quickly finish plugging the social media and the YouTube, and then we will do that. But I did almost forget, so I appreciate you. And finally, if you're hearing this and going, wow, Tucker has a silky smooth voice, I wonder if he has a face to go along with that. The only way that you can find out is by watching this episode on YouTube. You can watch it on YouTube at Serious Cinema for Unserious Men Podcast. That's the capital S in Serious, a capital C in Cinema, a capital U in Unserious, M in Men, and a P in Podcast. Tucker, my streaming rec is just one of the most underappreciated action movies of the 90s. You can find it on Disney Plus. It's Die Hard with a Vengeance. Rewatched it with the entire family the other day, maybe 3 days ago, and you forget how funny it is, you forget how violent it is, and you forget how engaging it is. The beginning scene, which I'm not going to describe here on this podcast. Tucker knows what it is, and if you're curious, you can watch it. It's probably bad to laugh at it, but it is also just incredibly hysterical. But as I mentioned, this movie is like violent, violent. There is a scene where the wires of a ship are flying off and someone just gets decapitated in half. It rocks. It rocks really hard. Obviously, Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson have fantastic chemistry. The scene where he thinks that Sam Jackson's name is Jesus, and he's like, "Do I look Puerto Rican? My name is Zeus, like the god of thunder. Like we'll stick a lightning bolt up your ass if you mess with me." It's just some incredible stuff. Die Hard with a Vengeance. I need to rewatch Die Hard. DH with a V may be better than Die Hard. I need to rewatch it. Die Hard is one of my favorite action movies of all time. I'm I'm thinking maybe there's some changes
Oh,
happening within me personally that's causing me to reevaluate. But DH with a
whoa.
V is a masterpiece. Yes, Tucker.
That's a big step for you.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to see. Is that a crazy take in your opinion?
It's a take.
I'm gonna evaluate, learn, and report back on this show. So you'll just have to listen to every single episode to know what conclusion I finally come to. Tucker, what's your streaming rack?
Okay. It's it's not for everybody, for sure. I think it's adequate television. But if you're like some people who are affiliated with this podcast in one way or another are they're they can really only handle prestige TV. They don't stoop to the levels that I stoop to sometimes with my TV. But I've stooped to a level with this one. Cross, the new Alex Cross series on
Oh
Amazon
no,
Prime.
it's some good. I binged all of it. It's
It's
pretty good.
very solid crime detective TV. And
Hmm.
and it's carried heavily by the best live action Alex Cross portrayal.
Yeah, low
So
bar, but
very, very low bar.
I mean,
Very
I
low.
enjoy Kiss the Girls and Along Came the Spider as much as everyone else does. But
Those movies are bad and they don't like Alex Cross shouldn't be an old guy.
nope, nope. He's a young, intimidating detective in DC, and Aldous Hodge does a fantastic job playing him.
It's
And
this is like a worse it's a worse adaptation overall than Reacher,
mhm.
but it's for the fans of the character. I've read like one Alex Cross book and I liked it. If you like the character, you'll enjoy this.
Yes,
That's where I stand.
the
And
grandfathers in your life will like this. If you
yes,
get down on dad media, you'll enjoy this. Um,
it is
I
definitely
would
that.
like a Reacher Cross, something crossover. I think could be possible. I don't know if crossover is the right word because it's Alex Cross, but
You were reaching there.
oh, reaching cross. Come on, look at that. That's some good stuff.
But yeah, it's solid. I'm in a holding pattern on the Dune show, which I believe premieres tonight.
Yeah.
I've heard not great things. I'm gonna probably try it for the sake of the pod, as the
Hmm.
teams are, and I will report back
Yes.
to
Well, in terms of space TV, even if Dune Sisterhood, right? Prophecy, whatever, what is it called?
prophecy.
Even if Dune Prophecy is bad, April 22nd, 2025, and/or season 2 comes back, and we will be happy men. But until then, make sure you guys come back for more episodes, Tucker. Thanks for potting with me, and we'll see you next time on another episode of Serious Cinema from Serious Men.